Let's talk about marriage, bro. Like this transition into like going from being high school sweethearts, going from being immature, being wild, being
You're still mature.
yo
No, I'm
fuck.
just kidding.
No, but like you know what I'm saying, just going from being like high school sweethearts, from being kids, from being like that mind state of life. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, may see it where it's like
What are they doing? But yeah, anyways. Sorry, honey. What were you saying?
I don't know clue.
We went from high school sweethearts to getting engaged. Well, it wasn't that quick of a transition.
No,
it was a lot
there's
going
a
on.
lot of stuff going on in between. I'm just saying, I mean, if you tell somebody like, oh yeah, you guys are high school sweethearts, like it's easier for you guys to maneuver in marriage, you know what I'm saying, because you guys, been rocking with each other for a long time, which is cool, or which is true, which is cool and everything, but I feel like it's also harder because you go from a different mind state of how you were as kids and things that you guys did as kids versus, growing up. Maybe some of us mature a little bit faster or things change, you know what I'm saying, a little bit differently. So it's almost like having the mindset of like, this is how things used to be versus now, this is how it is now. You know what I'm saying?
And sometimes it's hard to accept that the person that you met when they were 15 is no longer the person
you met when they were 15.
You know what I mean? It's like
so it's a big difference.
20 to 25, it's like you're different, you're changed, and some people grow very differently. Correct. And it makes it harder to join together to be one in marriage. So, yeah.
So for me, I feel like with marriage, I mean, obviously I've known Shani since she was 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? I know everything about her ins and outs. Her, you know what I'm saying? I know like the back of my hand. You feel me?
No, you don't.
Anyways, I know like the back of my hand. What the heck is this? But I feel like in marriage, things.
You're an idiot. At first, I thought something was on your hand. We recently had a 9-year anniversary that we celebrated. So we kind of wanted to just kind of chop it up and talk about what we've learned throughout our marriage, throughout 9 years, because, in the first couple years, they say it's the hardest. They say, that's when it's like make or break. I think they say the first 3 years or something like that?
Never that though. I mean, when you tell somebody like, marriage is good, marriage is fun, marriage is everything. Like, oh, you guys are just living in the honeymoon stage. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I feel like that honeymoon stage is, I'll say, like the first 3 years. But, let me just confirm that.
But it may not be, because some people don't have that experience of like honeymoon stage.
But what society, what society,
shock.
But I mean, what society basically says the honeymoon stage is in a marriage. I mean, you already know all this stuff is kind of like taught in a sense. It says the honeymoon phase is an early part of a couple's relationship where everything seems carefree and happy. It usually lasts from 6 months to 2 years and can be marked with lots of laughs, intimacy, and fun dates.
But that's not usually in marriage, though. I don't think there's like a honeymoon stage in marriage, is it?
Yeah.
Because it's usually like before you even get married that you're experiencing that honeymoon stage, which is why you want to marry.
No.
Okay, well, all right. We just want to touch on a few points of what we have learned and what have been like the most important to us throughout this 9-year period of being married, because there are a lot of people who are, newly engaged, about to get married, or very new, early in their marriage, or some people who have been married for a long time who need some like rekindling or some readjustments or whatever.
Or those that ain't never been married and y'all think about getting married. I'm gonna say,
knock it off. Like God gave us marriage. It's like one of the greatest gifts that God has given us. Marriage, it's so valuable. Yet it's like one of the most failed things in life.
Yeah, I mean,
marriage.
Failed things, look down upon things. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You always hear single people saying, "Oh, you locked up or locked down or this and that." It's like, hey, bro, like my marriage is fine, bro. Like my lifestyle, I love it. My life is good.
I don't know if you saw. I actually posted today on my story a post that this guy did, and it was so like it was on point. Let me find it. Married at 19, just... Hold on, me. So I got married at 19. I'm not telling you to get married at 19, it's just when I got married. But I will tell you this. Just about every person that lectured me and told me I was getting married too young because what I really needed to do was go out there and live it up a little bit and mix it up with some other people before I settled down. Yeah, pretty much all those people are divorced now. And maybe it's because they looked at marriage as the end of the adventure rather than the beginning of it, which I think is pretty stupid. Because when you find someone that you truly love, respect, and are passionate about, and they feel the same way about you, why would you not want to go through life with that person? Why would you not want to share experiences together? Because life's going to throw you a lot of curveballs. You're going to have peaks, you're going to have valleys, and believe me, there's going to be times when it is you and her against the world, and when you come out the other side, you will have a whole new appreciation for what it means to have someone that you truly care about with you through everything. So I'll tell you this much. If you found that person, and the only thing that's keeping you from marrying is because some idiot has convinced you need to go first make a bunch of mistakes with other people, yeah, I would go ahead and ditch that advice and put a ring on it. Like, it's so real.
It is.
So real.
It's so true. Because, I mean, again, I get a bunch of people that are like 40 years old, you know what I'm saying? Mid 40s. And they're like, oh, marriage is this. Marriage is like, bro, like, you ain't never been married, bro. Like, you're not married. You have no kids. Like, how you going to sit here and tell me how marriage is? You know what I'm saying? And for a person who's weak-minded and listens to society and listens to, like, their friends and, all that kind of stuff, it's like, they be the ones that actually take that information and run with it. And adjust their lifestyle based on how other people perceive it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, man, like, I love my marriage. I love being with this lady. She gets on my freaking nerves all the time, most of the time, sometimes.
It's always
but it's and it's like that's what it is, man. Like it's kind of funny because we're watching a TV show and it's like, dang, I keep scratching my freaking knee. Sorry, Ashley, I keep scratching that day. It's itching.
That's really ridiculous. You need sandpaper to, like, file it down.
I know, but it feels so freaking good, though.
All right, so I'll start first. One of the things that I've learned through 9 years of being married is boundaries. Boundaries. Boundaries are like an adult word, It's like you gotta learn boundaries as you get older. But specifically in marriage, being married to this young gentleman.
Stud.
I have learned just how to make sure that nobody is crossing my husband's boundaries. And so what I mean by that is that I have two sisters that I'm very close with. I have a family, parents that I'm very close with, where we've always been very like linked in to one another, I have obviously been used to doing my own thing when it comes to my social life and all that stuff. But once getting married, it's like, it ain't just about what I want to do. It ain't just about who I want to come over. It's not just about how I feel, And throughout marriage, things have been different. Like, obviously, when we first got married, things were different. We were a lot more chill. We were a lot more relaxed. People were able to come over a lot more than they are nowadays, with 3 kids and whatnot. But like, I've learned a lot about how to respect my husband and respect his boundaries. Even though it's something that I want, he may not want, And sometimes that means telling the people who I love so much, sorry, can't be done, or sorry, hey, I need you to back up because there's boundaries here. There's somebody who I have to uphold more than your opinion, more than your belief, more than your preferences. And that was a really big transition because I remember there were a lot of times, like, especially when I first quit my job, we didn't have kids yet. I quit. That's when we decided that I was going to stay home and whatnot. And I would have my girls over. Like, my sisters would be over, my friends would be over, and Jeremy would get home late at night. And it, like, this hard-working man wanted his wife, And, like, my friends would be there. And there were times where I would have to be like, hey, y'all, y'all gotta leave. You know, but it's just all a part of like having boundaries and respecting the one who you said I do to, you know, because he now comes first. He's now priority. What he feels trumps what everybody else feels. And that's just,
and
you know.
And vice versa.
Yeah, right. Correct. It goes both ways, but the point is to have those boundaries. It's hard to set those boundaries at first with people you love, with people you've never had boundaries with before. You know, it's hard to set those, especially because sometimes people who are not in those positions, who are not yet married, don't understand it.
Correct. I feel that.
And they kind of feel like they're being like, you know, it's like they're being neglected. But it's like once you become married, this union is real, you know?
Of course, like I don't, you can't move the same way you used to move before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might tell one of your friends or your family members, whoever, like, oh yeah, pull up, you know, pull up whenever. Like, nah, it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like my spouse might not feel like having people pull up. I mean, sometimes she might not even want me here. You know what I mean?
Right. Because guess what? If
else.
I allow my friends to come over when he didn't want them to, now I'm having a good time with my friends, but when they leave, guess what? Now I got to deal with. It's so extra.
You feel me?
Now I got to deal with Tude over here, Mr. Attitude, who mad at me because I didn't respect those wishes. So it's just important, and I feel like when you really truly love someone, you want them to be happy and comfortable. You know, your turn, honey.
I feel like the biggest thing that I learned so far in marriage is composure. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's times where she pisses me off, right? And I just want to turn into a real, and you know what I'm talking about. I want to turn it on, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I have to keep my composure. And it's like when it comes down to marriage and like relationship, you know, people are talking about communicate, right? Easier said than done to communicate. But when you're upset, when you already have some type of feeling towards something, it's hard to communicate and keep your composure. So I feel like for me, that's been the challenge. And I'm slowly learning. I'm getting better at keeping my composure when I'm upset. I mean, you can sit here and say, oh yeah, we communicate when everything's all fine and dandy. But when she pissed me off or I feel like I'm pissed off, it's hard to keep that composure and communicate and tell her how I feel in a tactful way. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, anybody can communicate how they feel, but when you feel like you're hurt or you feel like like what she would say, you feel like you're misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to keep that composure and communicate how you're feeling when you feel like, hey, I'm not even feeling that way, but this is the way I'm being perceived. So it's like, I'm just shut down and not communicate at all. You know what I'm saying?
So how do you go about that?
How I go about keeping my composure?
Mm-hmm.
Basically just taking a step back and just trying to see the overall picture. I mean, that kind of goes into my next bullet point in a sense. But I mean, I can kind of piggyback off what she's going off of, but my next bullet point would be seeking to understand, right? Because sometimes she might say something about something, and it's like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, we're two different people. We have two different mind states. We have two different visuals on how life goes, and I don't understand. And sometimes my flesh is like, I don't understand. I don't care to understand because I know how I feel about something, and it is what it is, right? So being married is like I'm learning to seek to understand her, you know what I'm saying? Or understand her vision or the way, she sees things, you know what I'm saying?
That actually goes into my next point.
Why are you trying to be like me, though?
I'm not trying to be like you, but
yeah, how
like a nice little segue into that.
But yeah, that's basically what it is. So me keeping my composure and then me seeking to understand, you know what I'm saying, her or whatever the situation may be. I mean, because it doesn't necessarily have to be her. It could be, our children, which brings a whole nother aspect.
Yeah. That's a whole
other aspect into our marriage. You know what I'm saying? You got two people that were parented growing up two different ways. And like now our parenting styles may be different. You know what I'm saying? So she might tell me something that I'm doing that I might not agree with. Or, you know what I'm saying? So again, composure and then seeking to understand her point of view and how she feels.
Yeah. And so my next point, something that I knew going into marriage, but was something that I really had to learn to apply, was that we are one. Like, the moment we said I do, that union under God, we are one. We are now of one flesh. And as easy as that, like, sounds. It's like it's
good.
very hard to apply that when it comes to like kind of what he was saying, like my feelings versus your feelings, you know, because it's like it's very easy to get in this like
me versus you.
Yeah, like this battle, this conflict when it comes to, well, this is what I want, or well, this is what I feel, or this is, you know, whatever that is. It's like we have to always remember through all of that that we are one. We are on the same side. We have the same mission. So even though you may feel one way and I may feel another way, we have to always remember that we are on the same team.
Yeah.
There's only one battle. It's us against the enemy, you know, and we have to remember that this union is called by God. So when we're at battle with each other, with one another,
it's not of God.
We are going against everything that God has set forth for our marriage. Correct. So that's one thing that I feel like I have tried to really apply time and time again, especially when it's like he feels some type of way. I wanna understand. I wanna fix it. I wanna learn, even though it's not first nature. I wanna learn what it is that makes him tick. I wanna understand. If my husband hurts, enlighten me, because I don't want you to hurt, because if you hurt, I hurt, you know. That's just that mentality we should have when we're married, because again, we're one flesh. God designed it to be that way, so it is us against all things, you know. That's why when even kids come into play, it's us first, you know, this Correct. Union right here, not our kids. As much as people feel like that love for their kids is like higher than their spouse, but no, that's not how God designed it, because at some point those kids are going to leave you and you going to be stuck with your spouse. So it's like we got to make sure this is solid over all things, you know. So that's one thing that I have truly tried to apply, making sure we do not have conflict that lasts. It shouldn't last.
Yeah, it shouldn't. And I mean, even for me, going back to the whole keeping my composure and seeking to understand. I mean, I'm not perfect, so sometimes it might not be the same day that I'm actually understanding where she's coming from. It might be the next day when I'm driving to work. I'm just sitting in my car doing my drive with no music on. I'm just like, dang, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I understand what she's talking about now. And you know, I come home after work and I try to make things better. You feel me? Because again, when you're in that mind state of hurt or disrespected or whatever you're feeling that you have, like, you don't care to understand the other person's opinions or feelings or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's the biggest challenge, especially for people that go through that, as far as like having an ego or pride. You know what I'm saying? And you know,
and sometimes there's outside influences, family, friends that could like kind of get in the middle, and they should never. They should never know your business, you know, when it comes to your spouse. But I feel like that's another thing that makes, you know, that us being one thing kind of challenging, because a lot of times family or friends could get involved in things, and that should never happen.
Not at all.
And I have a scripture actually to like just kind of reiterate that, to go with both the boundaries and the we are one situation. But it's Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So like that word cleave, it's like
chill, man.
Cling and cleave, like we attach, you know.
Okay, hey, and keep that same energy in a little bit.
I can't. I should be so clung to you that I am only concerned about your wishes. I'm only concerned about your preferences. I'm only concerned about your conflicts. I'm only concerned about your
desires.
I'm trying to think of like some negative words about your.
Nah, I get you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's like if we're worried about what mommy and daddy talking about, we're not gonna put you first, you
Not at
know.
all.
And
Not at
but it's
all.
like we are supposed to leave them. They are no longer our family. They are not the priority anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's hard sometimes to apply that, but it's like it's the truth. You know?
Instance.
What are they doing now? These kids, I tell you, oh gosh, I am getting old. Every way I sit, something's getting numb. Lord have mercy on my limbs. This is not happening to you?
No.
I'm literally numb everywhere. I don't even know what to do. It's like I'm sitting on the toilet for an hour.
I'm sitting on the toilet for an hour.
Yeah, you
I
do.
go in there, handle my
2
business.
hours. You sit there 2 hours.
Handle my business, I get out.
Please. Oh my gosh, this is nuts.
There might be a little roaches. It's just like inside the room, just all over the place.
Scattering.
Like
Literally from my knees down. Stop, Jeremy. You know I don't like that. Do that.
We are one.
We do not consent. Be confrontational.
Be confrontational.
Be confrontational. Hear me out on this one, okay? So, what do you think of when you hear confrontation? Like it's like, what do you think of?
I think of some angry black women.
Jeremy.
A confrontational. I feel like confrontational is saying something that you know that might be, you know what I'm saying, not perceived wrong, but basically saying something that might cause conflict. Like what I have to say, you're not gonna like.
Yes, but no. And this is the thing, because I feel like whenever we hear the word confrontation, we think negative, like problems, dramatic, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like really confrontation, being confrontational is just, and here's the definition right here. It says, the state of being oh, jeez, now Gia's awake. It's like it never fails, you guys. It is 10:15 p.m.
Because
Jade and Seda are playing around in there, and now Gia's up crying. It's like, when are we gonna ever have time?
I think we'll go up there and confront them.
Confront them. Do it. We'll be back, you guys. We have to deal with them kids. But I think this is where we left off at. I was saying that one of the main things that I learned is just being confrontational. And we were touching on the word confrontation, the meaning of confrontation, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing because the one who avoids confrontation creates conflict. Yeah? Yeah?
Yeah.
Because when you avoid issues, they fester, they grow, they
Snowball
go
effect.
unresolved. Yeah,
Snowball
it's not a good thing. And what I've always been good at, and I will say, I've always been good at confronting. I've always been good at addressing my issues, addressing my concerns. Some may call it problematic. I don't, because I feel like me being that way, I don't have a lack of peace, because if in that moment I'm upset, let me talk about it. Let me tell you about it so that I could move on, you know, and live life and not dwell in it any longer. And a lot of people are not that way, and I recognize that. But what I feel is important in a marriage is confronting those issues. Because if I have an issue with you, and I gotta live with you, I gotta lay with you at night, and I didn't talk about that mess at 8 o'clock a.m., and now we're in bed at 8 p.m., like that ever happens? You know what I mean. But if we're in bed late at night and I'm still like dwelling on this issue that I have not talked to him about, that's problematic, because now he is thinking everything is fine. He's been going throughout the day thinking everything's copacetic, and I'm mad, and now I'm bringing it up, and now he's upset that he's been left in the dark, and you know, but that's just the I guess the easier way to put it, because sometimes people allow things to go on for days, for weeks, for months, and they just build and build and build, and now you're lacking in intimacy because you never address these things, or you're lacking in communication and quality time because you never addressed that one little thing that was an issue that could have been dealt with right then and there. it's just building and building and building, and now it's this: I hate you, you hate me. We mad at each other. We don't even know when we're mad at each other.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I felt like is very, very important, is just to, obviously pick your battles, choose your battles. You don't want to be a nag, but at the same time, the things that you cannot get over, the things that are really going to change your demeanor, your attitude, and your mentality, address it. Address it, talk about it, deal with it, and then move on from it,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's the healthiest way to deal with conflict in marriage, is to talk about it.
Conflict with anything, not just marriage. I mean,
yeah, but marriage is like, because friendships, if they end, it's like, okay.
I know, but I mean,
but there's so much divorce going on because people
Of
don't know
course.
how to communicate and
Of course.
talk.
but for the most part, I mean, how you are in your friendships, in a sense, carries on to like everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that.
Everything that I say and believe, it's like, I want to make sure it's biblical. I want to make sure it aligns with what the word says, and one of the scriptures that I reference when it comes to that, and it just makes me want to talk about issues, more and more and more, is when I hear the scripture. And it's Matthew 18:15-16. It says, "Moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. But if he will not hear you, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word may be established." So, like, it's like God has called us to conflict resolution. Like, he has called us to sort out our problems, not assume and be mad and be like, I want them out of my life. It's like, he wants us to resolve. He wants us to come to some sort of agreement, some sort of an understanding where we could dwell together as brothers and sisters in Christ, So even more so in marriage, we need to apply that. We have to understand each other. We have to communicate to one another. We have to figure out whatever our little differences, and most times they ain't no big deal, like, they're always petty. Yeah. Anyways, so it's like, let's resolve it.
It'd be those like little misunderstandings that go a long way. It's like, bro, I didn't do that for that reason. It's like, oh, I thought, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I feel that. I feel that for sure.
Slap you upside your head. Okay, what's your last point, honey buddy?
My last point is, man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if most of the cows don't even like beef with the chickens, then like, how do you expect to even catch any fish? Like, if the weather's not going up, but then the wind is blowing, it's like, okay, like, it's not none of my business. Like, you just mind your own business if you're gonna keep doing all that. It's like,
why are you this way? Why can't you be serious for like 2.5 minutes?
At the end of the day, man, everything is a learning curve, right? Like, I mean, the stuff that we've been doing for 9 years, it gets easier. You know what I'm saying? But then it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It gets easier because like you have the understanding, right? It's like knowing something. Like, you learn, you study it. I mean, I feel like in life, there's knowledge and there's applying something, right? You can know all the ins and outs of a sport or a technique or whatever the case may be, but it's like, can you actually apply it? And I feel like that's the hardest thing about all this is we understand it, and as we grow and grow and grow and time goes on, we get more understanding, but can we apply it? You know what I'm saying? And that's the hard part.
You know what? Like, when I think about our marriage from start to where we are at now.
You're so close to me, bro.
Because I love you, honey.
Dang, dog.
When I think about from start to where we are now, things have gotten harder for us because, we were together since we were 15 years old. We got married at 25. So from that point, it was like we had mastered each other,
You said we haven't, or we
had mastered each other. And then we started having kids. Kids got thrown into the mix. And then we started working together, going in business together. That starts to be a little bit of a,
Yeah.
And And then longevity, you know, comfortability. We're now comfortable with each other. And I feel like comfort brings about a lot of negativity. Like I would say in your marriage, never get too comfortable. Never, you know, like this man pursued me in the beginning, you know, when we were dating, when we were engaged, you know, when he wanted to propose to me. It was like he pursued me, you know. That pursuing was like showed a lack of comfort. We weren't comforted yet.
Shape back then. I can't pursue like that no more, baby.
Boy. But even for me, it's like I want to be a married woman at the end of the day. So it's like there's this drive, you know. But it's like once you get married, once you get that ring, once you get, you know, it's like people start getting really comfortable with where they're at. Because once there's marriage and kids, it's like you're not seeking anything else.
Yeah.
So you start getting too comfortable in that position and you stop pursuing. And you stop striving and you stop wanting to be better. And I feel like that is a very bad place to be in. Yeah, you know?
Very bad. And I feel like society put a ring on it as the end goal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you like it, put a ring on it. Okay, I'll put a ring on it. Now what? You know what I'm saying? And that's where I feel like the whole mind state of you know, marriage and moving forward and staying, like you said, not being comfortable and in the study, you know, pursuing your spouse comes into play, because it's like we've been here. Like we got married, we got our house, like we did all this kind of stuff, right? It's like we're good. It's like, no, we're not good. Like we gotta keep going. Like longevity,
right?
You don't just buy a car and not get an oil change. You can change the tires and do this. You know, you don't do that. Like
you gotta put
stuff depreciates, and you gotta make sure you don't depreciate.
Maintenance. You gotta put in work. You gotta keep at it. You know, and I feel like the moment you stop working and putting in, you know, toward that, making sure that person comes first, making sure you're making, you know, pursuing that person. Because I feel like pursue is like that word. Because as much as he pursued me as a man to a woman, I pursue him too. Like I want to make sure I'm making some nice, hot, healthy, delicious meals for this man. I want to make sure I'm available for him when he comes home from work. I want to make, you know, that it's like we still have to pursue. We still have to be ready, available, and on fire for the person we marry. And if we're not, guess what? It ends in divorce, you know? And the goal for me, the end goal, is to never get there. Correct. So that's what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me striving, is to make sure I never hear that word divorce. I never am threatened with that word divorce. You know, like that's that. Yeah. I can't with you with the snap in.
Going back to what she was saying about being pursued, it's like, yeah, you want to be pursued by your spouse, but you also have to make sure that you're pursuable. You feel me? Like what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Pursuable? Is that what you said? Pursuable?
Is that a word?
Doubt it.
Hey, you get what I'm with me, though. Like, man, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you're pursuable. Like, what are you doing that's gonna make your spouse want to pursue you? Like, if you ain't taking care of yourself, you ain't doing X, Y, and Z, like, that person probably ain't gonna pursue you. So it's not just about, you know, that person having the action of pursuing you, but you also want to make sure that you're doing what you should be doing to make sure that you are a applicant. You know what I'm saying?
An applicant?
I didn't say applicant, but you're a good prospect to be pursued. Whatever got them, you know what I'm saying, in a sense, it's like you might want to keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? If it was you loving them or being a good listener, like she told me, like, you know, I used to listen to her. Now it's like I tune her out sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes.
You tune me out too, Monday?
More than that. Yeah. Too many times.
History.
Okay. Well, I hope this video touched somebody. I hope this video blessed somebody. I hope this video resonates with anyone, especially those who are like in marriage, who are in the thick of it, who are having just difficulties like navigating marriage. We all get there. We all have those rough spots. We all go through it, you know? Like, it's hard.
Hey, man, thanks for rocking with us, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? We doing this thing. We appreciate you guys' love and support. If you guys like this type of video, let us know in the comments. If you guys have any tips or anything like that you guys want to add, let us know in the comments. But for the most part, we out of here, man. Nobody wouldn't really want that. Like, nobody wants a yes man or a yes woman. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in our relationship, I have no clue what the hell I'm like.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just letting you ramble.
Sorry,
let's get into the topics.
My freaking knee messed me up, man. Even going back to what you were saying about being pursued, it's like, yeah, you want to be pursued, but you also have to make, but you also.
Take a deep breath. Feeling a certain way.
I'm talking. I'm talking. But just going back to like the whole, you know, that's all I'm saying, bro.
Alright, you guys. Thank you guys. Boo, come on.
Yeah.
You're playing too much.
You play too much. I don't play.
Why you get scared?
Because you broke my lamps. Alright, hurry up. We'll be about to be here.